Peace be with you. Dear friends, welcome to the 7th episode on the series of When I Cannot Pray. So far, we have discussed and reflected on various themes on prayer. Today, I would like to deal with a very important aspect of prayer, and that is prayer and learning about prayer. Now, what is learning about prayer? This is not so much to understand about prayer, but it is learning about prayer. What is learning? Children learn, college students learn, we all learn every day. So many things we learn. Now, if we were to speak about computer, smartphone, iPad, or any electronic gadget, we try to go through the guidebooks and then we learn. Instead of depending on others, we would like to handle such smartphones and electronic gadgets on our own. We try to learn a lot. And with regard to our daily life, we learn about how to buy things. We go to a shop, we ask so many people about the product, and we compare, analyze, and then we buy the product, the best product that is available. For example, if you want to buy a TV set, or if you want to buy some furniture, if you want to buy a house, certainly we will learn more about the housing markets and other things. And then if you want to buy a piece of land, a property, we learn a lot about these things in our daily life. And then what about prayer? We try to learn so many things through YouTube, how to cook good food, how to prepare a good dish, and then how to set the table and how to decorate the house. Many things, millions of things we learn in our life. With regard to prayer, I think that also requires some kind of learning. Now, when the disciples saw Jesus praying one day, they were so much impressed about the serenity and peace that is found on the face of Jesus as he was praying. As soon as he finished his prayer, they approached Jesus and said, "Lord, teach us to pray." That we find in Luke chapter 11 verses 1 to 4. Lord, teach us to pray. And Jesus taught them the Our Father. Teach us to pray, that expression itself is learning. We would like to learn, Lord, about prayer, and therefore teach us to pray. And Jesus taught them how to pray. That was the Our Father. Saint Teresa of Avila has written a whole treatise on the Our Father in the Way of Perfection, in her major work, Way of Perfection. So that will be another topic for another day for our discussion. But when we recite the Our Father, just the word Our Father, what is Our Father who art in heaven? That is learning to pray, learning more about God, discovering more about God, understanding God, in order that we may be able to pray better, because the more we know about the other person, God, in our lives, it will be easier for me and for you to approach this wonderful, great, mighty reality who is called our Father. That's the beauty. I just to give you some examples. As I told you, the prayer Our Father will be another day for our discussion. But one thing that comes to my mind always when I say Our Father, the immense, great reality beyond my understanding, beyond my intellect, beyond my comprehension, this immense reality I am approaching in my prayer, and I call, because Jesus has taught us to call God our Father. And when I say Our Father, so many things come to my mind. This can be a prayer experience, learning how to pray. It is not just recitation of prayers, as I told you in my previous episodes, or reciting a particular type of prayer that is prepared by others, whether they are psalms or any other prayer for that matter. They are all prepared by the saints and mystics. But my own prayer, when I address our Father, my Father, what comes to my mind? The immensity of this universe. The galaxies, the stars, the millions, trillions, and zillions of stars and planets, and the sea, the vastness of the sea, the depth of the sea, the mountains, the valleys, the greenery, the forests, the sky, the whole of this beautiful universe with millions and millions of beautiful creatures. At times when I watch a YouTube video on nature, that is whether fish in the sea or the animals in the forest or the beautiful birds that make their nests and take care of their little ones, I am ravished by this beauty, and I attribute it to God the Father. This is one way of learning to pray. When I elevate my heart and mind to God, my Father, the immense reality that gives me shivers, that gives me goosebumps, when I really enter into that mighty mystery God, how God has created me. I am nothing. I am so insignificant creature, but yet He takes care of me. He takes care of me. He is concerned about me. So that is concerning about the Our Father. Now, learning how to pray is, first of all, I would recommend you, and I recommend it to myself, praying with the Holy Scripture. This is a very much neglected part of our prayer. Praying through the Holy Scripture. And this is learning prayer. The more I read the Holy Scripture outside of prayer, I'm not saying that we have to read the Holy Scripture during prayer. No, don't do that. Unless you are too distracted, too tensed, too worried, and then you take the Holy Scripture and read. But I would recommend that those 10-15 minutes that you spend in prayer, don't take the Holy Scripture for reading during that time. Outside that prayer time, you read the Holy Scripture, and you will find there is a mine of information about God, because God speaks to us through the Holy Scripture. God personally speaks to me through the Holy Scripture. Every event, every episode, every parable, every story, and every hymn that is found in the Holy Scripture speaks to me so powerfully about my God, and I learn more about Him. That's it. That is one of the ways of learning prayer. I would say the first way of learning prayer is through the Holy Scripture. The more I read, the more I go deeper into the mystery of God, who has created me, who has liberated me, who has saved me, who gives me grace, who sustains me, who always is with me, walks with me, talks to me. So that is the first way to learn prayer. The second way to learn prayer is the tradition of the church and the first community of the apostles. I would consider, a deeper attention to the first Christian community. They were all united in prayer. Day and night they were praying. And they were all united in prayer. So that's a good example to learn about prayer, going back to the first Christian community. In spite of all the insecurities, uncertainties that were surrounding them, persecution and poverty and maybe rejection by the Jewish people or by the Romans or whichever community they were, in spite of that, they were able to gather together to pray. So that was something extraordinary. This is the second way, I would say, tradition of the church. Early church, how people were getting together to pray. To learn about it certainly will help us strengthen our prayer. The third one, the writings of the holy people, doctors of the church, mighty doctors of the church, St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine, the Confessions of St. Augustine, and Ignatius of Loyola, who has given us the discernment and the spiritual exercises, and then Francis de Sales is also a mighty doctor of the church who has given us practical ways to learn about prayer. And then our own Carmelite saints, we cannot forget them, because they have immensely contributed through their own experience, through their own writings, to learning about prayer. St. John of the Cross, if we read the Ascent of Mount Carmel, the 3 books, we will understand systematically, mathematically, slowly how to progress in our spiritual life. I'm speaking to you, dear friends, don't misunderstand me. With all my prayer experience, I have not come to that point. I confess it, because it is not that by the very fact I tell you that I have attained the highest form of prayer. Absolutely not. I am just guiding you, and through this talk I am guiding myself to fall in love with God, to learn more about having a friendly dialogue with God. When we learn more about prayer, we will be more enthusiastic, we will be informed, our intelligence will grow, and our approach to prayer will be quite different. Not just vocal prayers, not recited prayers, not just limiting our prayer to recitation of rosary or angelus or novena prayers. I am guiding you to go deeper into the mystery of prayer, which is very powerful. Dear friends, once we really fall in love with God through the writings of these mighty saints, just read the writings of St. John of the Cross. They are sometimes little tough. That's why I said in my forthcoming reflections on prayer, when I cannot pray, what can I do? Understand prayer. I will be giving you more details about St. John of the Cross, especially on Ascent of Mount Carmel. And then we have the other works like Dark Night of the Spirit. This gives us a clear way to proceed in the darkness of prayer. Whenever we feel totally helpless in prayer, St. John of the Cross says, continue to pray, continue to go deeper into the tunnel, and the end of the tunnel you will see the light. Very many things that St. John of the Cross tells us in the spiritual canticle and the living flame of love. These are major works of St. John of the Cross. His wonderful sayings are also very helpful to know more about prayer. And St. Teresa of Avila certainly guides us through her book, The Way of Perfection and Interior Castle, and her spiritual sayings. And the Book of Foundation, of course, that is another mighty work of St. Teresa of Avila. And little Teresa, through her own personal life, personal experience, she is so down to earth that she can really guide us into prayer. She can really teach us how to pray. Dear friends, these are certain guidelines for us to learn more about prayer. Prayer simply does not happen unless we make efforts at learning prayer. And as we go forward, we will be enlightened more and more about prayer and how to actually benefit from many resources that are available in the church. The Catechism of the Catholic Church has a whole section dedicated to prayer. Whole section dedicated to prayer. So all these ways, all these means are available for us to nurture our prayer, to enhance our prayer, to enrich our prayer, to strengthen our bond with the Lord. Instead of just making some prayers or reciting some prayers and fulfilling certain obligations, that is not the right approach to prayer. Therefore, dear friends, I recommend very strongly that you learn more about prayer. As we learn so many things in the world, this is a mighty world. Today, the science has advanced to so much. We learn so many techniques and tricks to live in this world. I'm saying tricks. Whenever we speak about sports, there are tricks we use in the field of sports. We learn, how to swim, how to run, how to play, all these techniques that are available. In the same way, there are also so many resources available to make progress in our prayer life. May God help us.